Hi everyone, welcome back to my channel. Today's video is part 2 of our talk about luxury shopping in the EU with a focus on the VAT refund. In part 1, I covered what that is, how much you can get back, and how to estimate your refund, as well as who and what is eligible for VAT refunds. In today's video, I'll talk more about how to file for and obtain a VAT refund for eligible purchases made in the EU, my experiences receiving refunds, some shopping tips and things to know, as well as my thoughts on whether luxury shopping in the EU is worth it for travelers. A lot of the information in today's video is going to be related to information presented in part 1, so if you haven't watched that yet, I've linked it in the card so that you can go there first. So how can you file for and ultimately receive a VAT refund? The process might seem daunting at first, but it's really quite simple. First and foremost, when shopping, confirm with the retailer that they do offer VAT refunds, as well as confirm what the minimum spend requirement is for your purchase to be VAT refund eligible. Once you've done this, there are only 4 steps that you really need to complete. First, present your passport to the clerk upon checkout. This will allow them to verify that you're a non-EU resident and that you're eligible to receive a VAT refund, as well as provide you with the appropriate documentation. Second, fill out the refund form provided to you by the retailer. They'll also have to fill out a portion of this form. Third, obtain and save your proof of purchase. Fourth, upon exiting the EU, have your refund form stamped and submitted by the appropriate agents as proof of export. Side note, remember how I said that these refunds are typically processed by a third-party refund agency? Although these agencies typically have kiosks and refund desks located in the airport to help you process your claims on your way out of the EU, sometimes, for example in Rome, they also have offices located in the city center where you can go immediately after you make your purchase and receive your refund on the spot. This could really save you the time and stress of doing it at the airport. But in this instance, I believe you'd have to receive your refund in cash, and because of the convenience fee associated with cash refunds, you would receive a little bit less than you would were you to complete the process at the airport and have the tax refunded onto your credit card. But if you do go the airport route, make sure that you get there ahead of time so that you have enough time to get it done. At the airport, take your unopened goods and documents to the appropriate refund desk. Here, the agents will complete the processing of your refund claim by digitally stamping and submitting your refund form as proof of export. They'll then refund you on the spot, and all you'll have to do is wait for the credit to appear on your account. They say that this can take up to 15 days, but in my experience, it's actually been quite variable depending on the third-party agency that has processed my refund. But we'll get more into that later. Also note that when you choose to receive your refund on a credit card, it doesn't have to be the same credit card that you used to make your purchase. One of the main refund agencies, Global Blue, has created an app to simplify the VAT refund process. The app allows you to shop at retailers partnered with Global Blue for VAT refunds using your own personalized barcode and to track the status of your refund. So essentially, after you shop at a Global Blue affiliated retailer, you'll receive and complete a Global Blue refund form. Remember, this is the form that you'll present to the refund desk at your port of exit from the EU. After you fill out the form, you can then go ahead and download the Global Blue app, register as a member, and input your personal and purchase details as requested. Once you and your purchasers are registered on the app, you can then go ahead and track your refund progress. The app will also tell you what, if anything, is left for you to do to complete your claim. So for example, if you still have to get your stamp at customs, then it will list that out for you. Any important information will also be emailed to you, like remaining steps or if you have to input a refund method. As I mentioned, you'll also get a personalized barcode on the app, which you can also add to the digital wallet on your phone. That way, the next time you shop at a Global Blue affiliated retailer, you can show them your barcode, and that will automatically load all of your information for the refund form and register your purchase on the app itself. Personally, I would suggest registering on the app before you do your shopping, especially if you know that the retailer you're going to shop with is Global Blue affiliated, because it'll save you from having to fill out the form upon your initial visit and then just ultimately speed up the purchase process. So I actually checked my statements to kind of give you an idea of how long it took me to receive my own refund. So I've had to claim refunds with 2 different refund agencies. One was the biggest one, Global Blue, and the other was Planet. And the longest it's ever taken me to receive a refund from Global Blue has been 12 days. That was during my first trip. The longest time it's ever taken me to receive a refund overall has been 57 days, and that was with Planet. But the shortest amount of time I've ever waited for a refund was 1 day, and that was also with Planet. I'm not really sure about the reason behind the discrepancy between the refund times from Planet, but I'm really just hoping that that was like a one-off on their part. Every other refund that I've claimed for has taken less than 2 weeks to arrive, which I think is great, especially considering all the stories that I've heard about people, having to follow up for months or sometimes not even receiving a refund at all. I definitely think that these refund agencies, especially Global Blue, have evolved with the times, and as a result, refunds are being processed quicker and more efficiently than maybe even just a few years ago. Unfortunately, the other main refund agency, Planet, has not released a similar app to the one released by Global Blue, at least not as of June 2023 when I last shopped in the EU. That may have changed by the time you watch this video, so definitely double check that. Nonetheless, when I had to complete a refund with Planet, the process was the exact same as that with Global Blue, minus the app, of course. And as I said, I got one of my two Planet refunds back in a day. With that said, I do think that the Global Blue app definitely makes shopping and claiming your refund way easier and more informative. And Global Blue has refunded me faster in more instances than Planet. So you may want to stick with Global Blue affiliated retailers when you do your VAT refund shopping in the EU. But that's not to say that if you shop with a retailer that is affiliated with Planet, that you won't receive a refund or that the refund process will be much different, but you may have to wait a bit longer to receive your refund. So now that we've covered the bulk of information about obtaining VAT refunds, I kind of also wanted to include some important pieces of information that you will need to know when you're shopping. So first, when it comes to VAT shopping, you'll need to pay for your items in full, including the tax, and then file for your refund later on using the appropriate documentation provided by the retailer. Make sure that you don't lose, misplace, or discard any of this documentation. As mentioned in part one, the only scenario that doesn't involve paying the VAT or applying for a refund is if you're shopping at an airport on your way out of the EU. Second, especially if you intend to make a very large purchase, make sure that the retailer does in fact offer VAT refunds because not all of them do, and not all retailers are required to offer VAT refunds. Oftentimes, those that do will have a shop tax free sticker on their door or window, even a branded sticker for the refund agency with which they're partnered. Furthermore, not all countries in the EU participate in the VAT refund program or offer their own version. So definitely make sure to do the appropriate research for your destination beforehand. Note that for identification purposes, the traveler that will be applying for the VAT refund will need to be present in person to make the purchase. Fourth, you must have your passport on you when checking out. Sometimes a photo of your passport will be sufficient, but this really depends on the retailer. Retailers will often only accept a photo of your passport temporarily. So they might use it to initially process the purchase, but you'll have to return to the store later on, for example, later on that day, with your physical passport for them to give you the appropriate documentation. Fifth, regardless of where in the EU you do your VAT eligible shopping, you have to have your refund form stamped at your port of departure. So, for example, if you have done some shopping in Paris and Barcelona, but you're flying home from Rome and essentially leaving the EU from Rome, you'll have to have your refund form stamped at the airport in Rome before your departure flight. Sixth, when having your documents stamped at an airport, if you packed your goods in a checked bag, you'll have to visit the appropriate refund desk before luggage drop and security. If you plan to take your purchases in your hand luggage or carry-on, you'll need to visit a refund desk after security. Next, if you're on an extended trip in Europe and you still have items that you want to claim VAT refunds for, the purchased items must leave the EU with you by the end of the third month after they were purchased. Finally, upon arrival in your home country, you must declare your items. Depending on your allowances and total spend, you may have to pay additional taxes. So with all of that said, is luxury shopping in Europe worth it for the VAT refund? This is probably no surprise, but I 100% say yes, it is worth it, especially if you would have ended up buying those same products that you bought abroad at home. Claiming a VAT refund is even more worth it for big ticket items because by Canadian standards, luxury shopping just happens to be more affordable across Europe, particularly in France and Italy. Even when accounting for the conversion between euro and Canadian dollars, the sticker prices of luxury items are typically lower. This is the result of less or no import or export fees and reduced transportation costs. Add the VAT refund to that and you can make substantial savings. Yes, you do have to declare your items upon your return to Canada, and you may have to pay additional taxes if you exceed your spending allowance. But in my experience, if you're honest and don't go completely overboard, Customs officers are often willing to give you a break, even if you exceed your spending allowance. Of course, this really depends on the customs agent that you get. I've had one bad experience with a customs agent, well, on my most recent trip, actually. She just really seemed to want to charge me some money, and she actually ended up overcharging me, and I didn't notice till later. But I'll save that for a story time video. Other than that, I've either had additional taxes waived or heavily reduced. But even with the additional tax charges, I've saved on my purchases overall. Even if you're from the US, where, USD and euro pricing tend to be very similar, you're still likely to save with the VAT refund, at least a little bit. And a little bit counts with these purchases, let's be honest. So again, if the items that you want to purchase abroad are already on your wish list and items that you would purchase at home, you can definitely save by buying them in Europe instead, especially if you have plans to be there in the near future. So I think my next video will be kind of a continuation of this video. I'll share what I bought in Europe as well as what I've saved compared to what I would have spent had I bought those items here in Canada. So if that's something you're interested in seeing, make sure to subscribe and hit the bell so you don't miss it. In the meantime, please come join me over on Instagram where I share curated photos, videos, and guides. But that's it for today. If you have any questions, please leave them in the comments below. Thank you so much for watching today's video, and I'll see you in the next one.